Hello and welcome all my beautiful vibrant souls with their North Node in Taurus, or any cross watchers who's got a special somebody in their life with this placement. Welcome to your North Node reading. I'm so excited to get into it. These readings have been super duper interesting. Yeah, I could go on about it all day. So what this reading is going to entail is I'm going to first be talking for quite some time about what this placement is about, and then I'm going to get into oracle and tarot cards for messages from your guides about this area of your life at this time. I want to mention that these are with the major caveats that this is about the placement of North Node in Taurus in general. This will be heavily impacted for you, particularly based on the house that it's in, as well as how it's aspected with the other parts of your chart. So if you are interested in this what's the word, you guys? Reading. Wow, I'm sad that that's the word I forgot. If you're interested in this reading for yourself, please feel free to DM me for a custom reading. I don't have it currently listed in my shop, so like if you go to my shop link in the description box, it's not going to be one of the readings that pops up, but I am happy to do custom orders, and if I get enough custom order requests for this, or comments on these videos asking for this to be more of a permanent fixture, I will of course add it to my shop. Now the reason why that's important is because your journey into your North Node energy is a lifelong journey. So the messages that you are coming across now are meant for this part of your journey, whenever this finds you. This is a timeless reading. So whenever this finds you, this is meant to be applicable to your journey at this time. Meaning, you know, a year from now, 3 years from whenever you're finding this, then the messages that your, excuse my burp, spirit guides might want to deliver about this area of your life could look totally different. So just keep that in mind. Sorry, there's cat fur all over the place. My cat was up here for a little bit. I did try to lint roll it, but there's only so much I can do. He is a Maine Coon tabby mix, and he wants everybody to know about it. So here we are. That's what we're doing. But yeah. So North Node in Taurus. This is beautiful. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm going to explain this placement at length. So if you don't want to sit and listen to this, you can always kind of just like scroll through and find the part where I'm flipping your cards. That'll be where, sorry about that, where we get into it a little bit more heavily. But I highly encourage you to stick around for this part. So your North Node in general is it's a placement that can reflect your destiny. It's the energy that you're being asked to move toward in this lifetime, for the greatest amount of success and growth and spiritual evolution. Excuse me. Like I said, it can also denote your destiny and potentially your life purpose, just depending on how it's aspected, the other parts of your chart, all that good stuff. So this is important too. We can't really have a conversation about your North Node without then also talking about your South Node. So North Node in Taurus puts your South Node in Scorpio. And the reason why your South Node plays a role here, and I will say that I also have a South Node series that I've released on my channel that's in the astrology readings playlist. So you are welcome to go check out the video for your South Node to kind of maybe give you a little bit more insight if you feel so called. But the reason why this is important is because your South Node is an energy that you've already mastered. So all North and South, hang on, I can do this. All North and South nodes are opposite from one another on the wheel of the zodiac. And the reason why this is important is that oppositional signs on the wheel of the zodiac often have a kind of common quest that they're trying to sort of they're trying to solve. It's like there's a problem they need to solve, or there's an area of life that needs to be addressed that they're both working on. But they start at opposite ends of the spectrum, and they often can reflect and mirror back each other's shadow. And the goal here is to kind of, through that mirroring, that reflection, to kind of gain further insight about themselves and trigger up further awareness, because the ultimate goal is to borrow from one another. So you're kind of meeting in the middle, you're equilibrating, but you're also utilizing the strengths from both energies to be able to solve the problem at hand. Excuse me. So with So sorry, my nose is so snuffy, or sniffly, there we go. Stuffy, sniffly, there we go. Yikes, snuffy was bad. It's not that, I promise. But South Node in Scorpio is also where, so your South Node is the energy that you have already mastered. It's thought to be a past life placement. And this is something, the reason why is, like I said, because you've mastered it, right? So it's like, okay, in this past life that's coming through as represented by your South Node, you have learned your South Node energy entirely. You have learned to work with it. You have mastered this. And this is also why the South Node can be something that we default to, right? There are a couple different placements in the natal chart, and this is highly debated in the astrological community, that we can kind of be possibly prone to default to out of a comfort zone, out of ego, you know, childhood wounds or programming. But this is one that we default to because in the past life that is coming through, represented by your South Node, this is not only the energy you've mastered, but it's served you really well, as opposed to, you know, defaulting to maybe an ego mask that doesn't necessarily serve you, but makes you feel, you know, safe, comforted, you know, protected, etc. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm just trying to find the most concise way to talk about it. So if I'm pausing, that's what it is. So this is an energy that you've mastered that served you really, really well. And the reason why your North Node is always opposite is that you're being encouraged to then work toward that opposite in order to kind of, like I said, equilibrate, meet in the middle, find balance at a soul level. And some of the ways that you'll know that it's time to kind of take a noticeable step forward toward your North Node, excuse me, is when what was I gonna say? Oh, when you kind of start to experience something that I like to call it South Node burnout. But this is essentially when that South Node energy stops being effective for you, or stops being as effective. And this is essentially the universe giving you like a 5-minute warning, right? Like, okay, this has worked for you. Now let's grow. Now let's expand. Now let's take a step toward this growth process. And this will happen at different points for everybody. Anecdotally, I have noticed this tends to happen or be correlatory with your spiritual awakenings, right? Or big time spiritual expansions, like, excuse me, like think like the Judgment card in the tarot kind of a deal. Not all the time, not for everybody, not every minute. You know, like I said, your North Node journey is a lifelong journey. So not every minute of it is going to be like these huge, like, you know, earth-shattering, shaking moments. Excuse me. But that is just what I've tended to notice. Now, that South Node burnout, you know, if you guys are interested in a more in-depth video of what that entails or what that looks like, how that could manifest, please let me know in the comments and I will make a separate video about it. But just like a broad strokes overview, how will you know when that starts to happen? It's when you default to your South Node so consistently but it stops being as effective. So this would be like, you know, if this is your go-to way of handling things or solving problems, maybe it's not working as well as it used to. This can be where you start to experience quite a lot of burnout by defaulting to your South Node. This is also where people stop being as like, you know, either agreeable or they stop appreciating what you're bringing to the table. You get less of a response from other people, or less of a positive response. And then one of the other major ways to know is when you kind of go default to your South Node energy and it starts to create more problems than it solves, right? It is generating more shadow than it is light. Because again, we've spent, you know, conceivably a lifetime or many, you know, possibly many lifetimes mastering this energy. So moving toward what seems like or feels like it's complete opposite can be very triggering and very challenging. So this is the universe giving us like little gentle boot in the ass, be like, okay, it's time to move toward that thing. So you'll start to notice these things kind of start to pop up in your life more. And this is going to look different for everybody based on their North and South Node placements, both sign and house. But just like, again, broad strokes overview of what that looks like. Sorry, I have stray hairs on me. It's driving me bonkers. yeah, and so this is really what's kind of pushing us to move toward that north node. So what this is for you guys more specifically, for me, sorry, I got the giggles today. For me, the Taurus Scorpio axis, one of the things that they're trying to figure out here is they're trying to kind of really suss out their relationship to security and control. And the underlying theme of this really, or the underlying point, excuse me, is sussing out the relationship to fear, right? Because why is it that we try to control things when we're afraid of what will happen if we don't, right? And there's that sense of security and trust, both within the self and also with the universe, right? So South Node in Scorpio, you know, this is the kind of placement where, and again, if you're defaulting to this, where you're likely very spiritual. So, you know, Scorpio can see things coming a mile away because they're very psychic, very intuitive. I also too, you know, Scorpio can really see through the dark. So I feel like Scorpio's not really, like, aside from being like an immaculate human BS detector, I feel like Scorpio tends to not love to get caught up in, I don't want to say minutia. I feel like Scorpio might be prone to not loving chit chat is kind of the energy I'm picking up here. You know, Scorpio is kind of like looking at, excuse me, looking through the darkness, seeing what's important at the soul, right? And thus, you know, maybe not as concerned with sort of more material or earthly matters. To the point, though, where this can create a problem. Another thing this can talk about is that if, you know, this axis has a lot to do with a relationship to control, Taurus likes to kind of, you know, try to control things by having a comfort zone, right? The ultimate rallying cry for Taurus is, I like what I like, in my opinion. You know, they like their comforts, whatever that is for them. And Scorpio, I feel like, is the opposite in the sense that the way that Scorpio handles, you know, the relationship to change, the relationship to control, is that they'll almost try to seek control by trying to tear things down. That's kind of like Scorpio in its shadow. And realistically, you need both, right? Taurus is ruled by Venus and Scorpio is ruled by Mars in traditional astrology. So we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies represented here. And you need both, right? If you're just constantly creating, you're going to run out of room, right? This is overabundance, which can also become too much, right? Can become unhealthy. And similarly, if you're always in your, you know, that Mars energy, you're always like tearing things down. You're comfortable with endings. You're comfortable with destruction. You're comfortable with dismantling. But building and or maintaining might be really challenging for you. And it seems like a weird thing, but it's actually an attempt to try to have control, right? So like what both of these signs are wrestling with is change is inevitable, and I ultimately cannot control it. It's going to happen no matter what. So Taurus likes to try to hold on and be like, nope, not on my watch. And Scorpio almost kind of likes to go the other way and be like, if I can't stop the change from happening, I'm going to get out in front of it and I'm going to control how it happens. And this is where both of them can kind of, they can kind of like end up butting heads sometimes. They can kind of struggle a little bit sometimes. This also too, to me, is kind of the energy of these two is like, so you think about, you know, Venus co-rules Taurus and Libra, and then Mars co-rules Aries and Scorpio, both of which are, you know, are signs that are right next to each other, which would mean there's like a relationship of a semi-sextile, right, 30 degrees apart between the signs that are co-ruled by these planets. And a semi-sextile is all about allowing, right? Saying, okay, if we're in our highest version, if we can connect with each other, we can kind of figure it out, right? Like we have the potential to really make some solid progress here. So having these both kind of be, you know, opposite from one another and having to kind of negotiate between that, there's this level to which being really open to this North Node journey and what it triggers up, even if it's different than what you would kind of expect or imagine, or different than what spiritual growth looks like for you, can be a really, excuse me, can be a really profound process. And the reason why I say that is because, once again, Scorpio is very comfortable with like, okay, what do I, like, it's that masculine energy of always being on the go, always being on the move. We're tearing down what's not working anymore, right? But to the point where it can almost be like, this can be the energy of, what do I have to do now? Okay, what's next? What do I do now? What, you know, I want to always be searching, like, I want to dig deeper, right? I want to pull back another layer. I want to, you know, get closer to the source, right? I want to get like pull back more. I don't care what I have to let go of. I don't care what I have to say goodbye to. To the level where having your North Node in Taurus is asking you to kind of it's like asking you to radically stay still, because a lot of people have trouble with that energy. A lot of people have trouble with the Scorpio energy if they're not used to it, right? This is that kind of like, I want to know the absolute, you know, the absolute truth, the core of the matter. I want to see through, you know, everything, right? I want to really like this is that energy of, show me the taboo, show me the dark. I want to see it. I want to understand, right? I want to tear away what's not working about it. Why is this in the dark? Why is this hidden? What can we do about it, right? And there's a level to which, like, that's the thing, like I said, a lot of people struggle with, they have a hard time with, right? South Node Scorpio, or really just any major Scorpio placements, is usually not afraid of that. They're not afraid of, you know, they're not afraid to take a look at, they're not afraid of the good, bad, or ugly. One of the things that they can struggle with, though, is, like I said, standing still. The process of growth. The fact that things have to happen incrementally over time. And it's really interesting because Scorpio is really comfortable with the life cycle, right? Life and death cycles and rebirth. But what they might struggle with a little bit more is that kind of interim period of time where it's like they have no problem harvesting and they have no problem planting the new seeds, right? It's that kind of like, all right, we're closing this cycle out, we're getting ready to start this cycle. It's in the middle that I feel like they can struggle. And this is definitely something I see with this placement. Having North Node in Taurus is the encouragement to take things one step at a time, to let things grow and develop. This is also a call for consistency. So I would say this very much based on what else is in somebody's chart. But if they had, for example, a lot of mutable placements, a lot of fire placements, this might be where they're really, really struggling to maintain consistency. You have no problem starting things, you have no problem ending things, but it's that, you know, tending to it day in, day out might be very challenging for you. So if you're in a period of time where you're being asked to stand still, that might be a really hard thing for you. And where most people would struggle with the opposite, most people would struggle with letting something go. Most people would struggle with, you know, peeling back the layers, having that ego death. You're very comfortable with that. But it's the other parts that you might be struggling with. It's that creation. It's letting things develop over time. Another thing that might be difficult is, like I said, Scorpio is very psychic, you know, very intuitive, excuse my burp, can see through the darkness. And one of the ways that this might be a problem is that, generally speaking, when Scorpio gets a hunch about something, they're not wrong. But there's almost this level to which you might be prone to get a hunch about something and then kind of want to make a like swift decision about it, right? Like, ooh, you know, I'm noticing this person's vibe is a little off. I'm gonna, you know, cut them off. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to welcome that in. I don't play that game. Like, that shit's not for me is kind of the energy. But something that you might struggle with is like kind of like giving the situation some room to breathe, right? Giving the situation, because like South Node and Taurus is the opposite. They can hold on to something even when it's long past due. It needs to die. It needs to be kind of removed from their life, or, you know, it needs to be pruned very heavily. South Node Scorpio is kind of the opposite way around, where it's like, okay, you know, I'm seeing like Scorpio can kind of zoom out and see the bigger picture. especially in an emotional and spiritual context. And that might lead you sometimes to being like, let's say it's with a friendship and somebody, hides something from you and you're picking up that their vibe is weird, right? It's like they may have made a bad judgment call by trying to hide something, but like, there's reason behind it. So Scorpio would be able to pick up really heavily like, oh, this person's not telling me the truth, but they might not have the full picture, the full story that kind of contextualizes and humanizes the behavior of the other person involved, right? Greets them with compassion. And it has to be a fine line, right? We can't hold on to something. We can't keep giving people the benefit of the doubt forever and ever. And so there is this level to which there needs to be a balance. I was talking about this earlier with a friend, and I was talking about like the, people who have moons in either the 2nd and 8th house or in Taurus and Scorpio, where it's kind of like it's a really interesting process because the Taurus or 2nd house person likes to have a sense of will take a long time before they invest in something, because when they do invest, when they do, put excuse me, put their heart on the line, or something is really important to them, they're putting a lot of hope in something, it's really, really hard for them then to let that go. They will be loyal to it for almost too long, right? They can be loyal to a fault. Whereas Scorpio is kind of more that energy of, they want to see the other person's investment up front. Like they'll invest, they have no problem in the initial stages of saying like, okay, I want to pursue this with you. But if they feel like it's not working, or they feel like there's a hiccup, there's something that the energy is off, they can be a little bit more prone to cut that situation off, even when it may have just needed a little more time or like a little bit of adjustment, right? So this is where there can be this like odd interplay between the two, because they both have very similar issues, similar fears that they're working through, but one, it's very hard to get them started, and one, it's very, very hard to get them to stay, right? To stay invested. Yeah. I'm seeing if there's anything else I wanted to kind of touch on before we get started with your cards. So these are kind of just like some overview points of what this placement can be about. For some of you, I will say as well, Scorpio is very much of the spiritual, Taurus is very much of the material, of the, the 3D physical world, and you do need to be able to have a balance of both. Excuse me. So for some of you who are very, very comfortable with your spirituality, you almost like live up in the 5D more than the 3D. North Node in Taurus is all about grounding yourself more, right? Being able to temper and balance what you feel intuitively, what you feel pulled toward, what you know to be true at the soul, with what you see in front of you, right? Because this can also go the other way, where if a Scorpio can or somebody, with these significant Scorpio placements can sense that somebody's energy is, is receptive, is willing, is, capable, is able, they can also be prone to kind of banking off of that a little bit. It's like they almost have a better, like if they have a good relationship with somebody in the spiritual realm, in the 5D, they might put up with a lot of stuff in the 3D that's just not very healthy, or it's not like, it needs work, right? And this is kind of asking you to find a balance between those two things sometimes. Is like, if you are prone to giving people the benefit of the doubt, like it's making room for the fact that what you're picking up on is true. It's not wrong, but it also doesn't necessarily equate to what somebody is going to be able or willing to produce, right? Potential does not, a relationship make, or potential does not, make somebody the best fit for a job, or the best person to co-parent with, whatever this is for you, right? So it's being able to kind of utilize what is right in front of you in addition to what you can't see. And obviously, like South Node in Taurus was very, very similar, where it's like, not banking solely off of what you can see, but also what you can sense, and being willing to take a leap of faith even when you can't see something right in front of you. So South Node Scorpio would be like the opposite of that, is like, being like, yes, using your intuition, yes, trusting your intuition, and letting that kind of lead you, but also tempering that with seeing how people show up, because you might be picking up on their energy, but the expression of that energy might be more subject to shifting and changing, right? So trying to find a balance. You'll know where you are on this, like, what end of the spectrum you tend to go toward, whether it's giving people too much of a chance, you wait too long, or if you pick up on something in their energy and then you're prone to kind of cut them off rather quickly, right? You'll know kind of, like I said, what end of the spectrum you tend to hang out in a little bit more. But this is kind of what this placement can sort of talk about as an overview. So now that I've talked your ear off for an excessively long time, let's get into your cards. So I have this card from the Blood and Honey Major Arcana deck, and this is like an archetype deck for me. This is going to represent the energy that your guides are encouraging you to move toward or to embrace or embody at this time in order to get you closer to your North Node. These oracle cards are going to kind of point to a little bit more of where this might be like unfolding in your life, or just give us more information. And then we have a couple of spirit messages cards. You guys are the only one out of all the readings that got 2 of these. So I'm really intrigued. And then I also have tarot ready to go for further details and information. So lots of goodies. Let's see what you guys have. We have Justice. Okay, exactly what we're talking about. Balance. Some of you might have significant Libra placements. But yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about, balance. And especially to, hang on, I'm trying to tune into this for you. So this is, like we said, balancing between, especially because he's got his eyes covered, right? Balancing between the spiritual and the material. Balancing between, like tempering a sense of justice with a sense of compassion and mercy, which I'm not saying like anybody here can't do that, but this can kind of be what that's about, right? So like this is coming into, what this really represents is making sure that before you make a judgment call, especially before you decide with the little dagger here what's true, what to direct your energy toward, or what to cut from your life, making sure you are balanced, right? Making sure you are really taking into account both the ether and the material, both the spiritual and the physical world around us, right? So especially, I'm feeling like especially too, this is having to do with interpersonal relationships for this group. So being able to balance what you feel, what you know to be true, what you really pick up on from a person's energy with what you're seeing from them, and to be able to honor both of those things equally, right? So you might be able to pick up on like, man, we have such great chemistry, or like we have this soul contract, there's all this love here, but I'm not seeing XYZ from them, or they did this thing that was really not okay with me. And learning how to find balance between those two things, honoring the fact that your intuition about who they are to you at the soul can be right, but the expression of that in your external reality might look different than what you expected. And you can both honor your own intuition and honor it by accepting it as true, and also accept that there's like a huge focus here of like, that people can know what the right choice is, or people can think that they, feel intuitively what they need to do and still not be ready to make that choice yet. And it doesn't mean that you were wrong about them. And it also doesn't mean that they don't care, but, change is hard for all of us. And that's, kind of like what we see with the ether and the physical world here. And I was talking about this a little bit with, I believe it was North Node and Sagittarius as well, is that, it's the fight with the equally real parts of ourselves, both the, the spiritual and the human, right? The soul and the ego, right? Like the human and the divine within us are both real parts of us. And it's often the tension that we have to navigate between those two equally real parts of ourselves that creates a lot of growth in this lifetime, in our lifetimes incarnated on earth. And there's something here about really being able to balance those two things, hold those two things in equal value and measure. So it's, and looking at the houses it's in might kind of tip you off, but where is this out of balance in your life, right? Where do you tend to maybe revere and uphold the spiritual, but ignore what happens in the physical, right? So all of these things can kind of, the biggest thing here is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if temperance comes out as well, but finding balance between these two aspects of yourself, finding balance between the spiritual and the physical, you know, the divine and the human within us, and how we, again, it's like how we navigate the relationship to change and security, right? And as a result, you know, expansion and love and excitement, all those higher vibrational emotions, and then fear and wanting to control. So all these are kind of at the heart of this placement. So finding balance, being willing to find balance wherever this needs to occur for you is what you're being encouraged to do at this time. This is also asking you to take a measured approach. And especially with what we were talking about, where South Node Scorpio can be very comfortable with change and, you know, tearing down the old, and might struggle a little bit to kind of just let things be what they are, or let things unfold day by day. This is asking you to wait before you make any big decisions, asking you to, like, almost like with his eyes covered, like, look twice, look again, before you make any big choices. Because at the bottom of this deck too, I noticed this, and I'll take it out and show you guys before I put it back in. We have the Death card. This is Scorpio, and then at the top we have the Fool. So I feel like there's something where you guys are kind of like, a change needs to happen, or a change has happened, and I feel like you guys are trying to decide: do I stay the course? Is this going to work out, or do I, you know, cut and run and start something new? And that's going to be different for each and every one of you. Yeah, exactly. I cut the deck. We have the Hangman. So again, this is going to be different for each and every one of you, but doing the soul searching about that is going to be really helpful, because under that as well is the Devil. And I feel like there's something where you're attached to this thing, right? She's holding the heart. You're very attached to this thing emotionally. And there's something where that might be almost uncomfortable for you. So I feel like you're being asked at this time with the Hangman and the Devil, something that feels like it's keeping you stuck may actually have more wisdom to offer you than you might initially realize. You're being asked to kind of wait, pause, take a break, make sure you're looking at all sides of something. Make sure you're also, like, you're really questioning your truth. And I don't say that to say that your truth is necessarily wrong, but just making sure, because there might be something in your blind spot. That's really what I'm kind of getting, that there's more wisdom in this situation to be offered, and your guides are trying to point you in that direction. So let's look at your oracle cards and see what this might be talking about. Okay, domestic harmony, and we have a 10 coming up, so, and 10's always reduced to a 1. There's an ending of a cycle and a new beginning. Oh my god, and then we have 28, and that's another 10 and a 1. Okay, so we have Emerald depicted here with Mercury and Cognizance. Okay, and I'm going to read these in a minute. So, first of all, you could, some of you could have a special significant date in May, because Emerald is the birthstone for May. That's also usually Taurus's season, so I guess that makes sense. But this might apply for you. This might kind of help tip you off. But there's a situation when it involves, I want to pull a clarifier for domestic harmony. This could involve a situation in your home, an interpersonal relationship. You might be thinking about moving. I want to look at this but not take it. Oh yeah, okay, the Chariot. This can be much about like a long-term, or excuse me, a long-distance move. And then I pulled another one. We had Temperance coming out reverse. Yeah, there's something missing here. And Death is at the bottom. There's that Scorpio. Damn, y'all, I can't. There's a change that has not fully taken place yet. And this is why I feel like if you're contemplating kind of like, this has this energy of like, screw it all, tear it all down. If you're contemplating making a big change, you're being encouraged to just like wait a little bit longer. But I want to get more details about what this is. Like I said, this could deal with a home. We have blue and green depicted, so throat and heart chakra here. There's something about speaking your truth, or seeing your emotions from a new perspective. And we see this kind of with this Mercury, Emerald, Cognizance. And I was talking about claircognizance earlier too. That's so funny. And we were talking about moons, and we have the moon represented here. So again, things in your blind spot. But we have the Ten of Swords reversed, the Knight of Wands reversed, and the Five of Wands. Okay, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This has to do with the situation, and this could be somebody that you either live with, somebody who is, you know, you would like to live with domestic harmony, somebody who has some type of pull when it comes to your living situation. So like, for instance, this could even be a boss where, you know, they sign your paycheck so that, you know, the balance of this hangs in, you know, partially in their hands. But whatever this situation is, like I said, we have 2 10s, meaning we also have 2 1s. So there is a cycle that's ending in order to start a new cycle. So if you're kind of like, God, I just want to get going. I just, you know, I want to just like make a decision. I don't want to have to go back and forth on this. They're just saying like, hang on, your new beginning is coming. It is on its way. But there are adjustments that need to be made. And these adjustments have to do with your perspective really heavily. There's a situation I feel like, and again, we have another 10, so I think that's really funny. There is a situation where there's been a lot of heartache with the 10 of Swords, right? There's been betrayal. There's been a lot of pain. There's been a difficult ending, possibly a separation. And I feel like you have one perception of how this situation was going or how the other person involved was showing up, right? With the Knight of Wands reversed, you may have felt like this person was just not consistent with you. I feel like there's this energy where they, I'm hearing the word congruence. So like maybe they would be prone to saying one thing and doing another. This also could be somebody who didn't take action, right? I also feel like too, I'm really noticing the shield being pointed in this direction. I don't really take note of that. This could be somebody who has hurt you pretty significantly. And it's like when you go to address the situation, this person is like, they're trying to like guard themselves against taking a certain element of responsibility for their part in how things have turned out. And I feel like this is difficult for you because again, there's a situation where with us seeing the Devil and the Hanged Man reversed earlier when I cut the deck, it's like, there's something about this that makes you feel trapped, right? Makes you feel stuck, like you're spinning your wheels. And you're being asked to kind of look at it from a new perspective. And I'm not saying, you know, to tolerate toxic behavior. I'm never going to advocate for that. But just the way that you see the situation as well as see your role in the situation, there is an adjustment that needs to be made. Because I feel like the way this person either handled it either was a power struggle or made you feel like it was a power struggle. This usually depicts 5 people, 5, there we go, and they're like fighting and they're swinging wands around and everyone's kind of pissed and confused and nobody knows what's happening, right? So this is the element of a power struggle where it's like, I have no clue what's going on here. And so there's this situation, I feel like there's been this really, really painful sort of point of ending or painful happening, and it's kind of this energy of like, I don't know if we can ever get past this, but you're still really emotionally attached to this. So I feel like you're trying to walk away from this person, from this situation, and there is still a lesson that needs to be learned. And it's like you're fighting with them, but you're also fighting with yourself. I want to know what this lesson is that needs to be learned because I'm nosy. I flip it this way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What happened? All right, I'm sorry, I'm just nosy. I want to know what happened here. 9 of Pentacles at the bottom. Yeah, there's something here about trying to take your power back, trying to feel really secure in yourself, right? She's got the 1 pentacle on top of her head, and there's the 8, you know, the 4 on either side. So there's the 8 flanking her. I feel like you put in what you felt like was a lot of effort. I feel like you may have made a gesture toward this person that you felt was very meaningful. You could have asked about wanting to move in together. This could be like a roommate that you get along with really well and you're like trying to decide, do we renew the lease? There's something where I feel like they did mess up and it was like not cool, but I feel like they don't realize how deeply it hurts you. And you're very sensitive to other people's energies. So that's what it is. There it is. Okay. You're very sensitive to other people's energies. So it's kind of like, how could you not see that this was going to hurt my feelings? How do you not perceive that? How is this like, it's almost like you can't fathom having done what they did because you're like, again, you're very sensitive to other people's energies. But this person is not as sensitive. It doesn't mean they're insensitive, but they're not as sensitive to energy. So something that might feel very apparent to you, like, well, of course this is going to bother me. It's just not registering to them the same way. So there is a power struggle here, and I do feel like this is legit, but I feel like the intensity with which you experienced this heartbreak moment due to this other person's actions is not the level to which they meant it, right? Like, let's say they were being petty and they were like lashing out about something. They kind of thought they were at a 2. You may have felt it at a 10. They're not aware of the extent of the damage they have done. So I feel like whatever this has to do with, this person really wants to mend fences with you. This person really wants to be back in your good graces. This person wants another shot. This person wants a renewal. And there's something here where I feel like you're torn, because it's like, well, this person, how do we ever come back from this? Like, we can't. Like, I feel like you're ready to write this person off, but your guides are saying just like, hang on, wait, you can't discount your feelings. And I normally wouldn't say that about Scorpio placements, because I feel like they usually don't want to. But when a Scorpio, or a Taurus for that matter, feels scorned, that can be some pretty intense, that can bring up some intense energy. Again, it's like once there's a little bit of the tensile strength of their relationship to fear and control is tested, that's when they can tend to get like, just like a healthy sprinkling of like, fuck you energy, on either side of the aisle here. But this kind of what I feel like is sort of at the core. Let's see what else we have. Yep, 3 of Pentacles. Yep, 6 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Cups. Exactly, reverse. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this could have been somebody you work with. This could be somebody who you share finances with, or you would be moving into a position to share finances, like you're moving in together. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Something this person did, like you are all in on this partnership, right? This is spiritual partnership. You're building together. You're all in on this situation. And I feel like something this person did is like, you offered your 3 Pentacles. Now you're waiting for the other 3 Pentacles to be offered, right? Something this person did let you down. Something this person did felt like they just didn't care about you. They left you hanging. It's like this, oh, they don't care about the extra work that I'm having to do. They don't care about what would make me happy. They don't care about, bringing balance and reciprocity to this partnership. They just don't give a shit, right? That's kind of, I feel like, how it looks to you from the outside. And there's something you're not seeing here. And what you're not seeing is, once again, I feel like you're very sensitive to energies. This person is less sensitive. So it's not that they don't care. It's that they don't realize that it hit as hard as it did. And with the 7 of Cups reversed, they might be realizing this and wanting to come back around and mend the situation, where they're like, oh shit, I didn't realize that was such a big deal. Uh-oh. This also could be where this person, like, you might just be very emotionally sensitive, and this person is just a little bit less so, right? But this person's starting to, with the 7 of Cups reversed, they're starting to really gain an awareness of the fact that how they acted toward you hurt you a lot. And so I do feel like this person wants to come back in, again, wants to mend fences, wants to be back in your good graces, wants another shot. They want a renewal. And this is why your guides are kind of encouraging you to try to sort of find some type of balance before you move forward. Because this feels like that energy of like, well, no, you fucked up, and like, that's it, game over. And there's this energy here where I feel like you're trying to kind of like walk away from them. Look how he's like got his back turned to all the other cards. And it's like, nope, I'm done. I'm not listening. Like, you're just here to hurt me. La, 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 la. And it's a protection strategy, again, with that kind of Scorpio energy. It's like, things are going to end, things are going to hurt me. I'm going to get out in front of it, and I'm going to be the one calling the shots. I'm going to be the one ending things on my terms, for self-protection. And there's something here where they're like, hang on, because your heart's still invested, right? Your heart's still in it. And again, with that image we saw from that version of the Devil card, like, she had ripped her heart out, but she was still chained. It's like, you can't ignore your feelings here. You can't ignore what you're feeling to be true. And even people we love are entitled to be human and make mistakes. And again, I'm not saying that you should tolerate any toxic behavior, but there's something about the way that you're perceiving the situation that is distorted, and that needs to be addressed. Because I do feel like whoever this is that you're asking about, this person didn't realize that they cut so deep. And again, it might be like, to you, you're like, how do you not see that? Like, bruh, Helen Keller could see that. But this person really just is not picking up on it the same way. This person is not as sensitive to energy as you are. This person, this person yeah, I don't really have another good way of putting it. This person's just not as sensitive. They didn't realize it. And for a very small portion of you, this will kind of be the opposite, where there was a lot of, there's a particular situation or connection where there's a lot of imbalance, there is a lot of iniquity, and you're kind of have been holding out hope for like, oh, they'll figure it out, they'll get it together. If I just try to say it like this, if I just get, if I'm just doing this, doing that, they'll figure it out. And there's this realization that's creeping in of like, oh, this isn't what I want, right? This isn't what the type of relationship I'd like to entertain. And I feel like you guys might be fighting this a little bit. But there is emotional renewal on the horizon. Again, I don't think that's the majority. For most of you, I feel like this is somebody that you want to cut out. This is a situation you want to walk away from. And Spirit's kind of saying, hang on. Let's just give it a little more time. Let it unfold. Let us show you what can be the case. And then they want you to know that if this person has, turned something into a power struggle, if they sat on the fence too long, if they... For some of you, I'm really noticing the bouquet of flowers here. For some of you, you really wanted this person to bring you flowers, or they said they would, and then they didn't. And it's, I don't know why that's what's coming up. Also, too, because 2 of these cups have flowers in them, and there's greenery in another 2. But yeah, this is kind of like what I feel like is at the heart of this issue. So let's look at your other oracle cards and dig a little bit deeper. So we have, oh, have fun. Okay. It says, stop. When was the last time you had fun? When was the last time you took a chance and did something silly, something totally unlike you, something just for the joy of it? It's long overdue for you to let go of your analytical mind and give yourself and your soul permission to have fun. I love that. Permission to have fun, permission granted. And synchronicity. Excuse me. Are you noticing the signs of synchronicity that the spirit world has been sending to you at this time? People and situations in your life are not just appearing by coincidence. In reality, they are being guided to you from from the spirit world to help you for a specific reason. Okay. So I do feel like you guys do notice synchronicity and notice it a lot. But I do also kind of feel like there is a level to which you're discounting it. Okay, so this is going to go either way. Either you're discounting something because, again, you've written somebody or something off and you're like, no, I don't care. So even though, the spirit world is sending you synchronicities that, this situation is coming back around, that not all hope is lost, that this is redeemable, you're kind of like, no, and kind of shutting that down. And you're being asked to sort of, really, again, give it a second look, contemplate it, and give it a serious, actual chance, right? And like, even just like a serious chance in how you're thinking about it. Because again, even if this situation is not really where you want to be, there's something that you're missing about it. Something that's in your subconscious, in your blind spot. Now, for some of you, this is going to go, like I said, the opposite way. You're holding on to something. Because it's kind of like, okay, this also may have been something where you received a lot of synchronicity about it initially. And so it's like, I meant to go down this path. Again, you're really valuing the spiritual, but there's also saying, Spirit saying, okay, but what is, what's happening in the 3D? What's actually happening here? And you'll know, right? Because I feel like it's a strong emotion either way. So if you have a strong thing of like, no, I need to go in this direction, like this person is my person, this is where I'm moving, this is the job that I'm having, you're being asked to kind of say, okay, what other possibilities are out there, especially with that 7 of Cups that we saw earlier. Okay, like what other possibilities? Let's, maybe let's make a backup plan. Let's give it some more time, but make a backup plan. Maybe I should start moving toward other options, right? Because whatever is meant for you will always be available to you, right? So like, let's say you're waiting on a person and you kind of start to ask yourself like, okay, well, maybe I should open myself up to other options. By you opening up your energy to other situations, other people, other circumstances, that is only going to, if that person is meant for you, that's only going to draw that person closer to you. And I'm not saying, to do things to make people jealous or anything. I'm just saying that the energy dynamics, they're only going to be more drawn in by you putting that energy into yourself, right? Being open to other solutions, being open to what your happiness could look like. And for a lot of you with have fun, this is what you're being encouraged to do, is really engage in situations and people and circumstances that make you happy, that make you laugh, that you have a good time, spending time with. And that will usually not only kind of show you, because look at all the light beams coming out of the throat chakra area. Again, it's your authenticity. That will not only show you what you authentically like, what makes you happy, and make it easier to attract more of that, but that will also be the very energy that draws this situation or person toward you if they are meant for you, right? Now, the flip side, a lot, and this is what I feel like is the majority, there is that person, that situation, that circumstance that has, seemingly burned you, and you're kind of like, nope, that's it, I'm done, like, you, like, that's kind of the energy. And you're being asked to kind of wait, right? There's this energy here with synchronicity where it's like, give it more time, right? We have the gears turning as well. It's not only to give it more time, but also to kind of check in with yourself and say, all right, if you trust your intuition in every other circumstance, if you trust spirit, right? That's where your security is. That's where your home is with source energy, with spirit to guide you. Why would they be wrong about this? Why would they suddenly fail you? Why would they suddenly mislead you? There's more to the story. And if you're being led toward a particular person or circumstance or situation, there's a reason why, and you're being asked to kind of try to soften your energy toward that. Let the universe surprise you, because you guys are very psychic. You see a lot. You are very intuitive, but as a result, I think when something is in your blind spot, it can be very scary for you, and you're being asked to surrender to that. Let things blossom for you. And a good way to kind of help you work through difficult energy is to spend time having fun, to spend time, like I said, entertaining people and circumstances that make you laugh, that you have a good time with, that are authentically enjoyable for you. So I want to pull more tarot because I'm nosy. I'm just owning my nosiness lately. It's been really nice. All right. Yeah, there it is. Justice at the bottom in reverse. Which is so interesting because he's got his eyes covered and she's got her eyes covered. And in the traditional tarot, there's only 2 cards that are blindfolded, and this is not one of them. So again, there's something that they're trying to show you that like you need to see. Okay, 4 of Cups. Yep. 9 of Pentacles, yep, not surprised. The Page of Swords, yep. I'm gonna just like cover this up a little bit. I don't think it's a big deal, but YouTube is terrified of boobs apparently. Okay, we have the 8 of Cups, and the King of Pentacles, yep. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn here, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So again, a lot of air energy going on here as well. Okay. You guys. So once again, this is a situation that you either need to walk away from, or I want to kind of pull a clarifier just to see, because this is either going to be something you need to walk away from and let go of, or more likely this is a situation that you're trying to walk away from, but you're having trouble letting it go. But I do kind of want to just like clarify that a little bit more. Okay. There's the 10 of Swords. Okay. So I'm not, and the 2 of Cups is at the bottom. Come on now. I was trying to see if this was more like, oh, okay, you should walk away from this, or I think it's gonna be a mixture for you guys. I feel like the majority of you are trying to walk away from this thing, or the situation, but some of you, it's like you're trying to hold on to it. And either way, we see this represented here with the 4 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles. So see how he's got his cup in the traditional card? It's a guy leaning against a tree. He's looking at 3 cups, which are all empty in that version, but here they're full. And then a 4th cup is being offered to him. But this one, he's holding on to that 4th cup, and it's full, right? This is just like saying that, this is your open, full heart with lots of love to give. But you're sitting on the sidelines with it. And I feel like with the 9 of Pentacles, especially because she is looking at him, you're trying to maintain a sense of independence. You're trying to maintain a sense of self-worth. And that's commendable. I'm not knocking that at all. But there's, with the Page of Swords here, there is information that still needs to be brought to light, right? He's like on the little edge of a cliff here and like just dropping off into space for the rest of it. So it's kind of like there's this energy of like, you know, before you jump off the cliff, let's like get this information out here. This person that you're dealing with might just be less mature when it comes to communicating, particularly communicating their emotions. This person might be stalking you, like on your social media. They might be just like paying close attention. They might be trying to contact you a lot. And again, you know, always do what you need to do. Always heed your well-being and your safety first and foremost. But this person has something to say to you, and I do feel like it will change your perspective. I feel like you're holding back from this person. You're trying to walk away from this situation because you're trying to have good boundaries, good sense of self-value. And normally that is, you know, like I said, incredibly lauded. But it doesn't quite apply to the situation because with the Eight of Cups clarified by the Six of Swords reversed, the 10 of Swords reversed, and then that Two of Cups, there's been this painful ending, and you're trying to move on and find a sense of peace, but you're having trouble truly moving on because your heart is in it, right? And again, there's the moon here, there's the dark moon, meaning, we have it here too, and here to a certain extent, meaning there's some stuff in your blind spot or in your person's blind spot. Whatever happened, there is missing information first and foremost, and there is, you both have been triggered to try to bring this thing in your blind spot up into your conscious awareness. And this is why you can't quite walk away from this person or this situation yet. You can't fully detach here. Because there's stuff that just has to happen in its own time. And with the King of Pentacles, you could be dealing with an earth sign, you could be an earth sign. But this is, again, that, you know, North Node in Taurus, like some things have to play out over time. And it is really hard when our emotions are involved, right? And this is why I feel like you're being encouraged to do things that are fun for you, right? But there is information that's coming to light. There is information that's coming forward. Look how even with these two little cats, this one's looking at us, but this one's looking at the other cat. I feel like this person's focused on you. This person wants to come forward. This person wants to offer you something more secure. This person really, like I said, wants to make amends. They might be a little bit immature with communicating. But this person wants to solve the issue. This person would like to connect authentically with you. So I want to know more about this because, you know, nosy. Taking these two. Yeah. At the bottom, yeah, the Two of Wands. Ultimately, like, this is... this feels like you're like, I'm walking away, but I'm looking over my shoulder one more time kind of a thing. And your guides are like, okay, just wait a minute. Yep, okay. Hanged Man reversed. The Magician reversed, yep. And then the Five of Cups. Okay. I want to just clarify that Magician really quick. Boom. Yep. Okay. And then the Three of Cups here. So this could be soul tribe, soul family. This could be, if this is romantic, this person, there could have been a fight about third-party situation, issues, but this is somebody who you get along with. This is somebody who you have fun with, who is your friend at some level. And at the bottom is the Empress, Taurus energy here. Yeah, I feel like, so we have Pisces here, Gemini, Virgo here, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces here. This is again asking like, hang on, just wait a minute. We have Neptune in the background. So there are things about the situation that that are unclear at this time, that you're not privy to, or that you need to have a shift in perspective about. Because with all the 10s and the 1s showing up, this situation was meant to help you close out an old cycle and begin a new one with a Magician, a fresh, much more empowered energy for yourself. And there's something here where I feel like you're trying to walk away. You're trying to manifest a certain outcome. And the reason why, like we said, why it's not fully working is that, you know, with the Five of Cups, you're still feeling a significant sense of loss surrounding this situation, surrounding this person. You're feeling the loss of this person. And the reason why with the Page of Cups is because you love them. You love them. You love this job. You love this situation. And you can't ignore your feelings about it. You can't pretend they don't exist when you're making big decisions, right? Yeah. Similarly, well, maybe not similarly, by contrast, for those of you where you're really holding on to a person, or to a situation, even when like you're really gung-ho. Again, the way you'll know how this resonates for you is there's something where you're either very much like, no, I'm going away from this, or no, I'm gonna stay focused on, I'm gonna hold on to it. So for those of you where you're trying to hold on to it, you're being asked to seek a new perspective here, because I feel like in holding on to this, you're holding on to an old cycle, and this might stem all the way back to childhood, but you're holding on to an old cycle of letting your emotions lead the charge, to the point where you are disempowering yourself, right? Again, everything in balance, in moderation. And there's something where you're holding on to this situation so tightly because you have all these emotions, you have all these tender emotions toward this, person, this job, etc. But you are willing to shoulder so much grief, right? We have the Two of Cups here, and then the two are pictured here. It's like you are willing to go through so much loss, for the hope of, this Two of Cups, this soulmate, this dream job, this, great living situation, right? This is where I was talking with friends earlier this year about if we could go back, back in time 10 years ago and give ourselves a piece of advice, what would it be? And I think the thing that I said for myself was, if I could go back 10 years ago and give myself a piece of advice, it would really be making sure that I knew that being loved well 30% of the time is not being loved well. And this kind of has a similar energy where it's like you might be holding out for those beautiful moments, or for the vision, or for, holding out for what you had to kind of come back a little bit. And it's to the level where it's like you're holding on to it, so much so that you're shouldering the immense weight of grief, right? The Five of Cups, the message of the Five of Cups is to, feel your feelings, especially when it comes to loss and pain, but not to let the, the grief of yesterday steal the joy of today and the hope for tomorrow. And some of you are like so hyper focused on getting back to where you were, getting to the end result of what you want, that you're missing a lot of really beautiful things, and you're kind of holding on to a lot of really burdensome emotions as a result. Now, once again, I think the majority of you are going to be in the other circumstance, but for some of you, this is absolutely how this is going. So this is asking you to seek a balance between the spiritual and the practical really, really heavily. So I want to pull you guys just like a couple of last cards of advice from your guides about how to handle this situation right now. There's that Justice reversed at the bottom. Sorry, I got the burps super bad. So we have, yep, the King of Swords reversed. The Empress, there we go. And the Four of Wands reversed. Yeah, this is likely about somebody in your soul tribe. This is about a home. Or something that, this can be like a divine counterpart kind of situation, or somebody you feel to be your counterpart, especially with that Empress showing up. But the advice here is to, the Four of Wands is about our stability and our happiness, right? It's something that it's something that brings us a lot of joy, a lot of, we always feel empowered by it. And maybe it's a really creative kind of, energy. Like this is like the things that are really the truest to us at the soul and the people we share it with. In reverse, it can be kind of a somber tone here. But one of the things I like about it reversed is that, yes, it does indicate that you are dismantling something that either used to bring you a lot of joy or you had a lot of high hopes for. But the silver lining being is that it's a personal victory, right? You're saying like, okay, yep, I'm having to deconstruct XYZ, and that's a bummer. But sorry, the birds outside my window are going crazy. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, what a cute bird. But the personal victory here is saying, okay, now I can build this back up toward what I actually want. And so with this, and then the King of Swords flanking the Empress, we have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius here, Taurus, and Libra. What the advice from your guides is right now is, again, to let yourself be guided toward a new perspective. Just entertain new ideas. Let yourself see things differently, because right now I feel like you're going in circles, or you're kind of like stuck in a loop, right? So like, let's say if you're trying to walk away from something, you're like, all right, say it's a relationship, they effed up, screw this, I'm walking away. And then you find that you kind of circle right back around it because you're ignoring how you feel. Or you're trying to overpower your feelings, right? And there's something where it's like, no, you got to care about your feelings, right? You got to nurture that part of you. For some of you, this is going to be where, you know, again, with this Taurus energy, you're being asked to let things grow, right? The Empress is usually depicted as pregnant, and that's, you know, babies take time. Anyone who's cooked one up knows this. Like, babies take time to gestate, and this is like, okay, what you want is actually on its way, but it does require adjustment. It requires you, you know, this could be where you're having to say goodbye to something that's really, really important to you or that's been with you for a while in order to make room for this something new, right? To make room for what you wanted. And this also can be where, you know, you're having to dismantle these kind of old beliefs that either used to serve you or that, you know, have really become important to you, and they don't really fit anymore. They don't really fit in the context of what you're deciding you want for your life. And as a result, you're being asked to be patient through this growth process and let this new version of you emerge out of this situation. So yeah, I think this is just about everything that I'm seeing for you guys. I hope this has been helpful. It's been an honor, a joy, and a delight to get to read for you, and I hope I get to again in the future. Take care, love bugs. Bye.